Hello guys, we got another tier list video, part 2, Cortex version instead of the Armada. Let me just make sure we're recording. Yes, we are, okay. Alright, so I'm updating the tier list because I looked at my old tier list videos. They're not as good as they used to be. I've gotten a lot more experienced or seen a lot more stuff. The meta's changed as well. Players have gotten better. There's a lot of differences in the game. I talked a lot about it in the Armada version. I will probably repeat it in this version too, just in case you're just a Cortex player and you only want to watch Cortex stuff. All right, so at the tiers are S, A, B, C, Niche, D, and Beyond All Reason. Niche is not necessarily bad. It is a alternate version to C, basically. D is kind of bad. Beyond All Reason is maybe not enough data, but also all the construction turrets go into here. Also, I forgot to mention, we have to do 2 new units here. The demon and the scuttle, because I forgot to put in the scuttle last time. I'm gonna put them at the top just so we don't forget to do them right now. So the Legion faction is on its way, and I don't know when it's gonna release, right? And there's also a lot of experimental units being developed. So I'm going to get this tier list video out, or the pair of them, the updated versions, the end of 2024 versions, before all those updates roll out. So we have a better understanding of how the game is right now, right? As a landmark video, right? So yeah. Beyond All Reason, constructors go in here. They're not necessarily bad. I would put them all in A tier if they weren't. I'm putting the construction turrets a little better actually than they were now, because I talked about it in the other video. They have poor actual build power, but their mobility on Supreme Isthmus is good for getting the islands. Also building Ragnaroks, also building your base very efficiently in the end game, in the late game, when you need to build efficiently as quickly as possible. You don't want your little bots running around and getting stuck in all the other buildings, right? And so they're very good for building the compact bases for late game. And so that's one use case over the others that the other bots don't have. Also, I think I forgot to put the seaplane seaplane constructor in here. Yeah, I forgot to put the seaplane constructor in here, but it would be somewhere down here. Seaplanes aren't that bad still. I think they're still decent. I just haven't seen them anymore. People don't use them that much, so they would still be down here. Commandos are Beyond All Reason still. I don't think they're that good, but I did see one person try to do it in 2 games recently. In the first one, he actually got a lot of damage in, but the problem was we were so far ahead that it kind of didn't matter that he was using commandos. So it's hard to tell if it was the commanders that actually won the game or not. Actually, we know it wasn't the commandos that won the game, but it's hard to tell the actual impact of the commando because we were already so far ahead. So they're in the Beyond All Reason tier. If you're using them, you're kind of crazy. You're Beyond All Reason. You want to use the meme strat, use a commando, do a paratrooper thing. So basically what they do is when they're loaded in a transport, they can fly around and in the transport, and when the transport gets taken out by anti-air, the commander just falls down. It's a paratrooper. It lands safely. So you just do a doom dive with your transports, and the commanders land all over the base and hopefully attack everything, right? That's the idea of it. They're expensive, and so I don't know. It's so hard to set up that I don't know how good it is, okay? Decoy commanders, if you're using them, you're insane. You are Beyond All Reason, okay? These are the anti-air bot factory anti-air botline bots, all right? You don't really want to be using them still. I think they've gotten a lot better. If you're fighting against a couple straggler air units, just a couple gunships, yeah, pumping 1 or 2 of them, okay, right? It's fine. It would be a C tier, right? But the problem is you much rather build flak, anti-air flak, and that comes from the vehicle factory, and yeah, these guys are just outclassed by the flak still. So I'm keeping them in the D tier. These are I haven't seen poison arrows. Actually, I think they're just an amphibious unit. I'm putting them in C tier. Same with this is the hovercraft. The reason these are here is because these are unique Cortex units, by the way. I put the unique units in buildings then. Was it Mangonel? I forget what it's called. I don't know. It's like a hovercraft rocket launcher. It's okay. You don't want to build it unless you need to cross water, and you might need to do it on Supreme Isthmus, so they're alright. This is the Minesweeper, and this is the Mobile Anti-Nuke. Both of these are okay. If you want to use them, you can. They're niche. Mines are efficient at killing units. They are cost effective when they connect. if they connect, right? If they never connect, they're not cost efficient, right? But if they connect to units, they are useful. You see players using them a lot more. Pro players will use them, especially on Supreme Straight, or yeah, Supreme Isthmus. Sorry, I get the name mixed up all the time. Like on the little cliffside of the water, they'll put the mines there to try to stop the marauders from coming in. Pounders, this is gonna be crazy, okay, guys? This is gonna be crazy. Pounders move from C tier to like top of A tier. Okay, the reason is it's the same as my last video when I talked about Centurions. I think I put Centurions in B tier actually, but hmm. Okay, we'll put them in like medium A or like low medium A. Okay. Yeah, I don't think they're actually A tier. Like they're actually decent units. What they do though is I wonder why I put the Centurion in B tier when they're actually pretty decent. Ah, that's a mistake for the last video. Alright, we'll keep them in low A tier, okay? So the way you use them nowadays is you have an artillery unit, and because this is the bot line factory, it's paired with the Wolverine, right? And you use them together, and these guys will stop rushdown units from getting to them. They're sort of like the mobile turrets. So you know how I used to say you would creep up with turrets, light laser turrets, plus Wolverines? Well, the Pounders do that, and they hit harder, and they're more tanky. So just build Pounders, because it's so hard to actually get your commander to build those light laser turrets nowadays, because everyone's using Rocketeers, rocket bots, like they have their own artillery, and actually having a thing that moves around is actually really good. So basically, they just like stop the rushdown for your long range options in the T1 phase, and actually that's how I think they should be used, and they're really good at that. And so I'm moving them up a tier because of that. They're no longer as bad as I thought they were. I don't know if they were buffed. Maybe their range, damage, movement speed, HP, cost, something was buffed, but I don't know if it was. But they definitely seem to be doing a lot better nowadays, and players build them a lot more. So moving them up a tier. I kind of think it's just because what is it? Rocketeers don't really need to be protected. I think that's the key reason why I put Centurions, which is the Armada version of the Pounder, in B tier, is because Rocketeers don't really need to be protected from rushdown because they're actually pretty good at kiting back. But Wolverines do, because they have such a long turn rate and they're really slow. So that's why the Pounders are actually more important. So I'm actually okay with actually keeping Centurions B and Pounders in low A. All right, where were we? So we were going down here. Alligator, this is an amphibious thing. Like, yeah, C tier. Only use it if you need to cross water. The rocket bots, where did I put them in my Armada tier list, actually? High B tier, yeah, I agree, actually. I'm moving them up. The reason they do is because honestly, there's not a significant difference between these two. I think this one, negotiators are from the tank line and they're stealthy, but you don't really notice it. They have really good long range, and in the Sheldon v Sheldon battle, one side has arbiters like the rocket bot here, the rockets kind of disjoint a little bit from the projectile tracking, and they have like a different tracking mechanism, and so like they hit at a different time, and so they can catch the enemy when they're like moving around trying to dodge your shots. And so I'm actually moving them up. They actually do a lot better nowadays. Like, I don't know what happened, but they have good range and they do decent damage. They have slow fire rate, kind of expensive, but in a Sheldon v Sheldon battle, like they actually help you. So I'm moving them up from C to B. Yeah. All right, Tremor Gang. Tremors have been doing a lot better as well. I don't know what happened. I think they got a buff where they can they can attack while moving, and I think that's a huge buff for them. They do a lot better. Good against spam. Good against like pushing generally, because they just put down so many like projectiles downrange that they're actually decent. Not insane because they're so expensive and slow and vulnerable, but much better than they used to be. And I'm putting them in B tier because they can be actually kind of scary, especially on glitters where more people will go vehicles. On a flat map like that, they can also hit the cliffs. That's actually pretty useful on glitters. So putting them up to low B or high B tier, much better than they used to be. All right, dragons. So in my last video or first tier list, I put them down low because people weren't using them that well. From what I've seen, people have been using them less. So the way you want to use dragons is you want to mass them up and then send them into the backline and just snipe those those advanced fusions, right? And so that means they are a late game strategy. And so if you're like a noob, you would build these way too early you would screw yourself because this is the same cost as the T1 fusion, and then you wouldn't be able to get your economy and you would just lose, right? So they kind of bait people into building them in way too early, but as a unit, they're actually not that bad. Their defense is amazing. Their attack range and damage is okay. Actually, they did get buffed. If I recall, their attack is like... Actually, were they buffed? I don't remember. But I think they do like a flamethrower attack nowadays, and it's not actually that bad. The problem is how people use them. People have gotten better, so I see it less often where they would just build it randomly. So they've been doing okay. They're good on defense because they're like a gunship, right? They're really hard because the enemy needs to bring anti-air, right? So I'm going to move them tentatively up to low B tier, guys. Please don't start building them in your games when you have node fusion and you're trying to build that 5,000 unit cost unit on like T2 maxes. Like, don't do that, please. Please. it's gonna screw you over so hard. But tentatively low B tier. Alligator, this is like a what do you call it? I think this is a amphibious unit. Ducks are still C tier. Like they don't do so well against... They don't actually attack water units that well. Their torpedo is really bad. It's the same as the platypus. Like, you really don't want to do that. You kind of just want to use it if you want to cross water. So Duck's not amazing. Okay. Behemoth. You don't really see them that often. Players don't get to that stage and build it, and when they do, they'd much rather build a Juggernaut because this thing is way too slow. It gets degunned by a cloaked commander, and then you're sad. So it's a heavy mobile turret. Basically, it's so slow. It's just like, yeah, like you much rather build other stuff, but as a unit, it's okay. Like, it's okay. I'm gonna put the dragon above that. Termites have seen more usage because of glitters. Now that glitters and Supreme Straight are like the only two maps that we play nowadays, right? So meta changes, right? Termites have gotten more usage because you want to get rid of those, what do you call them? What are they called again? Recluses. Like, you want to get rid of recluses because you need to control those cliffs now, and so termites have actually seen a little more usage, and they're actually a little better because of that. I don't think I would move them. I don't think I'd actually move them that far from where they were. Where did I put the missile truck though? C tier? Yeah, C tier, just above the rocket. Yeah, rockets. Okay, but yeah, they really haven't changed all that much. They just see one use case, so I'm keeping them where they are. They're still pretty much the same unit. They climb cliffs and they shoot stuff near them. Like, okay stats, right? Defense, attack, range, just okay. This is the Lasher missile tank. They've seen more usage. Their strategy's a little better, but long range, low damage, very slow, kind of vulnerable to rush down. Yeah, they're just alright. They've seen more usage because tanks takes no. The missile trucks have been seeing more usage. They're just pretty useful as like a long range push down option, so they're okay. Yeah, I just don't see them like pushing into like enemy bases that often, or like causing the enemies to... Actually, I do see them. Man, I put them here. I'm gonna keep them where they are. It's just because they're such low damage. You have to commit to the strategy of missile trucks, and that just leaves you vulnerable. So I'm keeping them in B tier. Banishers have not changed all that much. They shoot a projectile. I think it tracks now. Yeah, it tracks, I think, a little bit. And it just does a lot of damage in an AoE, and it's a good T2 unit. They're decent. I'd keep them where they are. Tremors, we talked about. Bedbugs. Actually, I'm gonna bring Skull down with them. I think I forget which one of these can cloak. I'm guessing it's this guy who's going to move up into low 8. No, wait, same tier. One of these can cloak, the other cannot. They're just little self-destructing bombs. The one that cloaks obviously is probably a little better for getting into the backline and destroying bases and the economy. So yeah, you would probably use that instead, right? But they're slept-on units. They're actually pretty decent. When people use them, they perform really well. So top of B tier with them. Where did I put the missile trucks? Yeah, like, I'm okay with this position. Like, I think that Banisher is... I think this is okay B tier. All right, Pounder we talked about, like, they've been doing better. Sumos I'm just moving up a little bit to like yeah, I'm moving the sumos up above the support. support units at least. I will talk about that one later. We have incisors, who have not been doing that well, guys. They're just a blitz, but like more HP, more range. Damage is okay. Range is the same as a grunt. They get D-gun, guys. Big problem with the vehicles, so not as good as they used to be. I wonder if I should actually. Where did I move the? Yeah. Okay, go to B tier. Go to B tier. Uh, my poor vehicles have not been doing that well. It's because commander or players are a lot better. The meta has changed. Players are a lot better. They get to the front line. They use the commanders. They D-gun. They have scouts all the time. They open with scouts, try to get into the back line, and they'll scout your incisor push. Like, yeah, it's much harder. The air player is better with the shurikens to try to stun them. Everyone's more on top of catching run bys, and tanks were used to be the run god. Tanks were really good for run bys, and so now we don't see them. I don't see them performing that well anymore. Of course, this is for AV8. 1v1, they're probably king or whatever, but yeah, AV8s they don't perform as well as they used to, I think. Although some would say they never perform that well. All right, thugs. Where is it? Same as the plasma bot. All right, base. Thugs, yeah, A tier. I'm keeping them high up. We'll talk about that one later. Air transport, good unit. You should use it. Cerberus has seen a lot more usage. Like I there's a lot of changes. Okay, Karganoff stays where it is. Karganoffs, they like climb over stuff and they shoot rockets. They're really big for some reason. They have okay attack and defense and range, and they can climb over stuff, and that makes them very useful as a T3. So, just a good unit, a solid unit, A tier. All right, Zars have been seeing way more play as well. Okay, we're moving them up. All right, we'll talk about one of that later. Okay, all the support bots get, the support bots stay A tier. Sumos, I think in my previous tier list, I just put them lower than they should have been. They're a high A tier or medium to high A tier because the wielder isn't as good. Wielders, where is it? Where is it? Wielders are like B tier because Sumos can hit air and Sumos shoot really fast, which is better for some reason. I feel just does better. So A tier with them. All right, Rascal, I'm actually moving up here as well. I'll talk about that one later. Spectre is a spy bot. EMP stuff when it's destroyed, it gets you vision. It's okay. Bombers would be A tier. It's just all bombers A tier. All right, where did I put the tanks again? I'm sorry I have to use the Arana tier list, but yeah, they go B tier with that's a similar unit. Oh god. Yeah, Brute. Where did I put the other tank? Incisor. Yeah, I think Brutes are better than Incisors, but B tier of them now. Tigers stay where they are though. I'll explain that later. Brutes, same thing with the Armada tier list. The Stouts. Players are really good at degunning now. We don't run flats and force anymore. We play on glitters and we play on Supreme Ismuth because Supreme Ismuth doesn't have that much metal. It's much harder to get these guys going. Glitters, they do okay on glitters, right? But deguns, guys, deguns. People degun so much. Like it's like if you're using these, you're gonna get degunned. Every player that plays Brutes knows about the deguns, and because they can't really kill commanders that easily, they lose a lot of value from that. So I'm moving them to B tier. All right, we talked about support things, right? Bombers. All right, Tigers. Unlike the the Bull, which was B tier, Tigers, I'm moving them. I think Cortex. I've been on like a Cortex spree. Like I think Cortex does a lot right nowadays. Tigers, I feel like in the Tiger versus Bull battle, like which one's the better tank? I think Tigers pull ahead because I see them a lot more breaking into the backline because they have so much HP. They just sort of shrug off all the attacks, beeline it to the base, and just start hitting things. They're so tanky and cost efficient compared to the Bull. They still have decent AoE and damage and range and speed, and it's just like solid tank. I'm gonna put them in low S tier now. Like they've been doing better than they used to be. Bulls used to be like A S tier, but players are a lot better. You need a min-max, and Tigers just for their cost are just so good. So I'm putting them there. Thugs, where is it? I'm sorry, I didn't do that tier list. Alright, I put them at the top. Yeah, I'm putting them like high. Yeah. Yeah, I'm leaving them. I think they're more used often than catapults. So I'm putting them here. Yeah, I'll put them here. So they're just a plasma bot. They're really good in the T1 phase when they can push down some laser turrets, right? Um, they fight against everything really well, and most importantly, they can kill commanders with micro. Makes them so good because killing commanders very, very important. All right, catapults, T3, long range, AOB, like saturation artillery, right? Very good compared to the was it Armada one? Where is it? It's like a B tier one, right? Yeah. With the Vanguard can move over cliffs and stuff, but the catapult just has what you're looking for. It's a lot more AOB and it just hits stuff more consistently, I feel, and it just feels better. So putting them there, yeah, decent support unit. So it's just like an A tier support unit. Okay. Quakers, I think Quakers stay where they are, even though I feel like they've been doing a lot better. They stay where they are because I would almost put them in S tier. Wait, did I put? No, Mauser are the same tier. It's just because they have matches against snipers and Sheldons, and they can fight those units effectively, and I like them for that purpose. They're just solid units, so put them there. T2 vehicle artillery. I feel like compared to the Mausers, they have way more AOE and damage, which makes them better than the Mauser, actually. I think they're better than the Mauser. So you can kind of see that in the tier list, but I put the Mauser below the Mace, which is the same thing as the Thug here, right? I'm putting the Quaker as a little better because, like, the Quaker, I feel like the AoE is just so good. The damage in AoE is so good. Even though, like, they have less range and they're more expensive, you just run them in, they get their shot off, and it just does so much damage. All right. Cerberuses, Cerberuses have been seeing a lot more usage. Like, on Supreme Ismith, they'll often put it in the center there sometimes. On Glitters, they don't really do that much, but this is actually a solid defensive structure. I'm putting them in A tier, same as the Exploiter. Like, games have been won with exploiters, guys. These advanced exploiters are insane. So these two top of A tier, solid defensive structures that Cortex has that Armada does not. Tigers, we talking about it. Rascals, the reason I moved them up is because Cortex does not have a spammable scout. Armada has the tick, but Cortex does not, and so this becomes their de facto spammable scout, right? Because this is their cheapest unit that they can spam. It is a scout, so I'm kind of mistaken here, but they use it. That's what it's used for. So that's why, because it's in the Cortex tier list, it has to. All right, this is the Czar. If you've been playing Supreme Ismith, and you play against like a 30, 40, 50 TS enemy, good luck to you because he's gonna get a Czar from his backliner, and you're gonna feel very sad. People have been using Czars in this manner like a lot, and it's very strong, and it's hard to degun because you often don't have the energy with the commander to get it, and then they'll just kite you, and then they'll kill you. If you can jump, then you win, right? Because you just degun it, right? But typically, it's the good players that use them, and they're gonna micro on you and destroy you. Outside of that one specific strategy, Czars would be, I think I put them in like A tier, right? Or B tier, right? They're just okay. Like, I would put them in B tier, yeah. They're just okay units, right? They're equivalent to the Fat Boy, but because of the strategy where they give it to them on like Ismith and maybe even Glitters, I don't know, but because like players have started using them in this manner, they move up in the tier list. Like they just been seeing a lot more usage. Mammoths, I'm actually going to move them down, just because I think I overrated them in the first video. Are they better than bombers? No, I'm gonna put them here. I think I overrated them a little bit. Players gotten a lot better. Mammoths they require a very specific canard, which is long range, high damage options. Like banishers, starlights, snipers, sometimes Sheldons and dogs, but Mammoths just beat down every other like attacking unit. Like all the tanks, tigers, they would win in equal numbers probably, or equal value. Like Mammoths just win those like defensive battles. So they're actually decent units. I would not sleep on them, but I'm moving them out of the S tier. They're not like crazy units. Not like the Czar. I wonder why they don't open with a Mammoth. You know what? I think it's because they can get degunned pretty easily as well. Like, I feel like you would be able to do a Czar push, just like with the boosting, right? They donate a Mammoth to you. That could be a thing. But yeah, Mammoths, they're good units, but we see the Czar usage a lot more. All right, Shivas, I am going to keep where they are. Shivas are just good T3 units, good AoB, good range, good HP, good cost. They have a rocket from like the Arbiter as well, so it's just a solid unit, and it can cross water, although slowly, so solid unit, S tier. Grunts, stay where they are. They're still used pretty much in the same way as the last time. They're like the spammable. You can kind of get away with using these instead of rascals, so keeping them here. They don't have as dominating a because actually I'll move them down because they don't have as dominating a like matchup against the pawn anymore. Like they used to be like win pawn every game, but they're not as good as that anymore. So moving them down bottom S tier, not as good as they used to be. Okay. But still a solid unit. I'm not sad having Grunts as Cortex. Like, yeah, Grunt's very good. You could argue that they're A tiers now because the pawns are much closer in value. So, but Grunts are cheaper. So so 50-50. Like, take your pick your poison. Like, I wonder if I should, for what do you call it? Balance sake, I'm putting them at the top of A tier. Like, I feel like the difference between Grunts and Pawns has closed, and so that means Grunts aren't as good as they used to be. Yeah, I'm okay with this. I'm putting them at top of A tier. They're about on par with a Pawn now, so they're not as bad as the Pawns are a lot better. Grunts, because of that, they aren't as good as they used to be. They basically lost a matchup, or they lost their advantage in the matchup. So I'm moving them down just a little bit. Yeah, I think that's fair. That makes sense to me. All right, we got Flak, which what is it? Flak, yeah. Flak stays important. You need anti-air. This is the best anti-air vehicle or unit you can build. It's just necessary for your gameplay. I'm not going to talk about more than that. These guys kind of don't move all that much. The rocket bots, aggravators, they're just the meta for bots. Like you send them out. They're your long range option. You push the towers. You push the light laser turrets. Yeah, you just win with that. Like solid strategy still, not moving. Shuriken, same deal, not moving. Still S tier unit. Like the EMP units, your air player will build them, save the butts of his allies getting run by. All the little scout units. Like these guys stop them. S tier units still. Fiends are not as good as they used to be, simply because players are a lot better. Fiends still see usage. They're still decent units. They're like a stopgap unit for bots, but they're not as good as they used to be. I'm gonna put them as like next to the sumo. They probably have more use cases than the sumo. I'm gonna put them above the mammoth, and yeah, I'm gonna put them above the mammoth. I think catapults are really useful. Fiends are just like they're not as used as much as they used to be, so I'm moving them down. There's also a nerf associated with them, which is the Twitcher. Where is it? I think the last I checked, where did I put the build bot on this one? Oh, B tier, yeah. I think I'm moving them into the B tier with these. Yeah, so I don't think Twitchers can build the Fiends anymore, last I checked. And so that's a huge nerf, because you used to do these strategies with them. So, like, yeah, moving them down, they're not as good as they used to be. They're not used as much as they're simply not used as much. I don't see Fiends that often anymore. When they are out, they're good, but they're not, like, crazy S tier anymore. Okay. S tier Shuriken. Juggernauts are S tier for Cortex. They kind of have solid T3s all around. Like, yeah, just a lot of good T3s, except for Behemoths. I don't like them. But it's a solid I'm moving them down because they will see less usage than the other ones. Like you're not going to see them that often. And so I'm going to move them down just a little bit. Yeah, I'll just move them down. Because it's not as important in the Cortex tier list, or like as a faction, Cortex doesn't rely on Juggernaut that much. Because Armada, like they don't have a Titan unit or like tanky units. Armada doesn't really have that. So that's why the Titan for the Armada is way more important than the Juggernaut. Because you can get away with spamming out Tigers, you could spam out Behemoths, you could spam out like Sumos, like I guess that's the same as the other faction, right? But oh no, you can get away with spamming Shivas. Like yeah, like alternatives exist, so it's not as important as the Titan for this faction basically. So it's still good, but it's okay for the faction. It has its use as a Titan basically, or giant mech. Also you can self-destruct it and do a giant AoE, and I think deny the mass reclaim from that, metal reclaim from that. So that's a very good usage that the Titan doesn't have. Oh, I forgot to talk about the Titan in the Armada tier list. I think it. Yeah, it's okay. This thing cannot be EMP'd as well. I'll talk about it here. The Titan has like a laser beam and two little pellets that it shoots. And I think it shoots a rocket as well. Juggernaut has a big laser and two shotguns. And yeah, it's just Titan. Okay, I'm probably spending too much time on that. Wolverines, where did I put them in this tier list? Yes, for the bot or for the vehicle factory line in Cortex, they're still the best option you can build. They're not as good as the aggravators anymore. Same in this tier list, right? They're not as good as actually. I'll keep them here because they have this combo with the Pounder that the Armada doesn't have an equivalent. Because they have the bot version of it, bot plus Centurion. Cortex has Wolverine plus Pounder, which is their artillery plus heavy tank, right? Heavy defender. Um, yeah, and so I think the bot version is a little better, but for the factory line, this is the best unit, best artillery unit, most important one for that line. Okay, Sheldons stay where they are. They're still so good, dude. They're countered by Junos because that gets your support units out. Rush down counter. Snipers do fight against it, or T2 artillery tanks fight against it. So still solid unit, but no significant changes on this front. Okay, Resbot is a solid unit. Resbot and Commander, same as the other video. Like you are going to need these guys. Resbot, Reclaim, and Resurrect. Insanely important for any pro player. They will use this. Okay, Cortex Commander gives you mass, give you build power at the start, like D-Gun, insane, little missile or little default attack light laser. Like yeah, you push with these guys. Reclaim even. Just a solid unit. Game revolves around it, so most important unit. And now we have the new unit, the Demon. I think this was included into the base or the current version. So I see demons all the time now, and demons are very good units. They are definitely good units. I think so. The equivalent of the demon in the what do you call it? In the Armada version is the Razorback. Razorbacks don't do so well because they're kind of limited in their damage output. But demons have giant flamethrowers that do way too much damage, and they do so much AoE that they deal with small spam way better than the Razorback. They can actually push way better than a Razorback as well because they have decent HP and speed and range, and I think they can cross water. Yeah, they can cross water. So I seen it on Supreme Isthmus where I think they can cross water. I'm not entirely sure about that. I think they can cross water though, and I remember them getting into the back line on Supreme Isthmus, and they just destroy bases because it's just. I think this is the overtuned unit. The way I would probably balance this is I would maybe nerf the range on it, just like the Razorback. Yeah, I don't know. This thing is just so strong. I think this is a very strong unit. Is it better than Sheldon? Sheldon wrecks you earlier, so I'm gonna put it here. I think it's stronger than the Shiva. I think if you spam demons, you're a literal demon. All right. This tier list got so wide or tall now. Okay. Yes. Just check that it fits. Okay, yeah, it should fit. Okay. Yeah. So this would be my tier list here. I think demons are so strong, dude. Every time I see a demon, it usually does well unless the player doesn't know how to use them. Like doesn't micro them at all. But every time they're used properly, they just wreck. They perform the role of Razorback and Thor, but way better. Both of those T3 units from Armada. They do it so well. So yeah, that would be my updated tier list for Cortex late 2024 because this is my tier list. This is objectively the best tier list ever, and there's nothing wrong with it. Yeah. Hopefully I didn't miss any units that are currently out, but thanks for watching this 8v8 tier list of Cortex, and goodbye.